Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's special presentation with Bob Proctor. My name is Rebecca Hanson, and I'm the program director for Bob's year-long coaching program. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to the line today, tonight, this morning, wherever you are in the world. You know, Bob has a really great presentation in store for you today. I know because he's been passing his PowerPoint slides around all afternoon. He's very excited about it, and he is going to be talking to us today about goal achievers. But even more than that, he's going to be getting into the difference between goal setting and goal achieving. Because let's face it, there is a big difference between the two, and we want to help you become that goal achiever we know you can be. And when you know the difference between goal setting and goal achieving, you really can truly create your own economy. So before we get started, let's take a look at what two of the biggest producers in this industry have to say about Bob. So Jay Abraham is one of the top marketing consultants in the world. It costs you a fortune just to hire him. And Jay says, I have shared many hours with Bob Proctor in my home. I'm fascinated by his depth of knowledge and understanding of the mind and why we do what we do. Listen to him. He communicates so clearly and effectively. If you want to make a major shift in your life, this man will definitely show you how. Now the second is Jack Canfield. And Jack Canfield has earned millions of dollars with the Chicken Soup for the Soul published phenomenon of the 90s. And you know, it all started in a seminar with Jack, Mark Victor Hansen, and Bob Proctor. And Jack says, since I started applying Bob Proctor's materials and strategies in my life, my net worth has multiplied 40 times. Now, this master teacher has put his best wisdom and insights into this great program. So, without further ado, I would like to welcome to the line the reason we're all here. He probably has more experience on this topic of goal achieving than anyone in the field today. Please welcome Mr. Bob Proctor.
Thank you very much, Becca. You know, 50 years is a long time, but it's flown by. It really has. And I have had the very good fortune of waking up every morning knowing that I was going to spend my day doing what I absolutely love doing. That's a good way to live. This book literally changed the course of my life. This is where I began to earn some serious money, starting way back in 1961. And if you really tune in, I can tell you this coaching that we run is where it can begin for you, starting right now. It's like Becca started off by saying there's a difference between goal setting and goal achieving. You know, if you just think about this for a few minutes, you're going to realize that virtually everyone sets goals. Now, some are a little more sophisticated than others, but almost everyone could tell you what they want. Now, they may not have sat down and written it out and carried it around in a card in their pocket, but you hear people saying they'd like this and they'd like that. And these are goals after a fashion. But you know, there's a very small percentage of the population actually achieve their goals. Now, if you've never spent any time thinking about this, you may say, oh, well, I don't know about that. Well, think of this for a second. 3 or 4% of the population earn 90-some% of all the money that's being earned. That's not an accident. You have to study it and ask, why is that happening? And that's what I'm going to share with you tonight, because I've been studying this for over a half a century. I have found it one of the most fascinating subjects in the world. I have watched people change like night and day, and I've watched others that struggle one year to the next. They just never give in and take good advice, and they stay stuck. Our entire coaching program is based on this concept that I'm going to explain to you tonight. So I'm going to encourage you to really listen carefully, because I think just the information we're going to share with you here in the next number of minutes could really change the course of your life. Now think of this for a moment. There's two things that you must know if you want to create wealth. You know what they are. You're not going to get a brain hernia. You have to know where you are, and you have to know where you're going, and then you've got to get moving. Now, it's so simple and so obvious, you have to ask yourself, why are so many people stuck? And you know, there's an enormous number of people that are stuck. You hear them talking about the economy, you know, how tough it is, and you see people, you know, difficult time finding work, and, you know, you have to ask why. If this is what it takes, know where you are and know where you're going. Now, where do most people get stuck? Well, the average individual will tell you it's in a goal. If you read self-help books or get into personal growth programs, a lot of them will tell you that's where the problem is. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think the problem is over here. I don't think it's where we're going. I think it's where we are. Now, that may sound rather strange, but if you stay with me, I think I can help you understand it. You see, people are stuck because they're being controlled by paradigms and something they don't even understand. So as I go along tonight, I'm going to show you what I have found after studying this for over 50 years. I'm going to ask you to keep your eye on the ball. It's a good idea. In fact, it's a good habit. And you'll notice things change right before your eyes. Everything's changing. We live in an ocean of motion. Nothing stays where it is. There's no such thing as rest or inertia. Now, we talk about the mind money magnet. No one's ever seen the mind, so we'll use this little circle and we'll say that is the mind. It has a horizontal line right through the center. Let's give this little mind a body. And then we'll bring it down here and we'll work with it to help us understand what it is we're going to be talking about for the next 30 or 40 minutes. There's the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the body. Now, I would imagine that everyone on the line has been reading books about the mind, about conscious, subconscious mind. Well, you see, it's the subconscious mind that controls the actions of the body, and it's the actions that's going to determine the results. Now, most people are not getting the results they want. They say, that's the results I'm getting, but this is what I'd really like to see happen. That's what I'm shooting at. Now, there's a gap between here and here. And that gap is what we want to try and close. We want to try and understand what's causing this gap. Why are we always just seem to be out of reach of what it is we're after? Why do we have to compromise on the car we buy, the house we live in, the grades we get in school, the trips we take or the vacation that we're going on? Why do we have to compromise? Why don't we close that gap and get what we want? Well, I have found it's a mind game. That's really what it is. You must understand the mind. Now, oddly enough, after I've been studying this for many years, I was rather shocked with some of the things I saw happen. There's a doctor down in Florida. In fact, there's two of them. They're married. They're both psychiatrists, John and Susan Mike. John Mike told me that I taught him more about the mind in 1 year than he had learned in 4 years of medical school, 5 years of psychiatric training. I found that amazing because I had never gone to school. I went to high school for a couple of months, and that was it. But you know what I learned as I started to study? I learned something Dr. J.B. Rhine said, because Dr. Rhine was at Duke University 50 years ago when I started to study. He probably was one of the foremost authorities in the area of the mind. He did more work in that area than almost anyone that I have ever read about. And he said the mind is the greatest power in all of creation. Now, right at the end of the seminar, I was going to tell you where you can get more information on this if you're interested in it. And because we do run a 13-month coaching program on this, if you happen to leave early, I am throwing this on the screen and so that you can see it. And as I throw it on the screen, you can jot down that address if you like. And call it any time. We'll give you all the information or answer any questions that you might like. You want to learn how to multiply your income? But this is really, it's a 13-month program about goal achieving. So anyway, I put that up there for the benefit of the person that may have to leave before we're finished. What are paradigms? If paradigms are the cause of our problem, we have to ask what they are. Paradigms are actually a multitude of habits. But as you study into this in depth, it's ironic because these habits are other people's habits. They've been passed on from one generation to the next. It's incredible how beliefs that existed possibly 200, 300, 400 years ago are embedded in your mind and my mind. And these paradigms or these beliefs literally control our life. Now, paradigms literally shape our logic. Our logic pretty well blocks our growth because our paradigm controls our logic. And the logic really stops us 9 times out of 10. I want you to think of some of the people that achieved phenomenal goals. Think of Sir Edmund Hillary. He and Tenzing Norgay climbed to the top of Mount Everest. They were the first ones to do it. Now, there's been all kinds of people do it since then, but they were the first. It was believed they couldn't be done. People had tried for years, hundreds of years. They had died trying, and no one did it. For him to attempt it was totally illogical. He was a beekeeper from Auckland, New Zealand. He went there in 51 and he failed miserably. He went back in 52. Everybody thought he was crazy. Yet in 1953, when he went back, his friends and relatives got angry with him. They said, "You're going to kill yourself." But in 1953, he stood on top of the world. All kinds of people have done it since then. It's not illogical anymore. It's unusual, but it's not illogical. Think of the Wright brothers, 2 young bicycle mechanics. Millions have been spent on trying to put man into motored flight. It couldn't be done. They're bicycle mechanics. It was totally illogical. We knew that anything heavier than air was attracted towards the center of the world. But they did it. Think of Edison. He illuminated the world. Where did he get the idea to build a light bulb? Totally illogical. But you know, I have found the people that have done great things were not logical. They were a little nuts. They were heretics. They were a little crazy. Who thought they were crazy? Who thought they were nuts? The people that surrounded them. The people that were influencing them because they were relatives, neighbors, friends. And when the person suggests they're going to do something, if it was illogical to them, they put them down. You see, our paradigm shapes our perception. Our perception is our point of view. It's how we see things. As we change our paradigm, we change our perception. Frequently in a seminar, I got an idea one day in a seminar, there was a woman sitting in the front row, very dark skin. She had a black suit on. And I said, if I asked the audience, "What color you were, ma'am?" they would say, "You're black." And she smiled and she said, "Yes, I guess they would." And I said, if I asked them what color I was, they'd say I was white. And she said, "Yeah, I think you're right." And I said, "But the truth is your suit is black and you're not the color of your suit. My shirt is white and I'm not the color of my shirt. Why do we say I'm white and you're black? Because that's what we see. But the truth is she wasn't black and I wasn't white. See, we don't see with our eyes, we see through our eyes. And because we see with cells of recognition in our brain, we see things that aren't there. Who put those ideas there? And why are they still controlling us? Now, if we see something that isn't there with that woman or myself, how many other things do we see that are not there? How about all the obstacles that are stopping us from living the life that we dream of living? We want the ranch, but we really can't have it. Because. What follows because? Whatever follows because is the thing that's stopping you. You see? Our paradigms literally control our time. Do you know that everyone gets the same amount of time? We get all there is. So it's what we do with it that makes the difference. Now, isn't it strange? Some people will accomplish more in a week than others do in a lifetime. Some accomplish more in an hour than others do in a month. I'm talking about productivity. Time. We all get the same amount. So it's what we do with it. Our paradigm controls our effectiveness. You know that some people are very effective. Some people are super productive, and others are not. Now, when I have somebody that I'm working with, if I'm coaching or they come in to work with me, one of the first things I ask them is, what's the most you've ever earned in a year? Because you see, your ability to earn money is controlled by your paradigm. Now, I really don't care what the answer is, but I want to know what the answer is, because that is a yardstick. You can measure money right to the penny. It's a very good yardstick, and it'll tell you where the paradigm is. People are not earning $50,000 a year because they want 50 a year. They're earning 50 a year because they're not aware of how to earn 100. You see, it's their paradigm. Now, where did this all start? Well, it started long before we ever got to school, but when we got to school, it was perpetuated there. Look at this for a moment. Let the yellow represent the organized education model, and the white represent the life success production model. Now look at this. There's our little man again that we created in the air, the conscious, the subconscious, and the body. Now let this be a model. A person goes to school and they hear what the teacher's saying. We hear with our ears. There are sensory factors. They're like little antennae. You hear, see, smell, taste, touch, and you pick up information from outside. And because we hear, we gather information. We gather information. Now, we think that's learning. The truth is, it's gathering information. It's exactly what it says. We start to stack the books up in our mind. And then the teacher or the professor come along, and they're going to find out how much we learned. And what they're really finding out is how much we remembered. And they give us a test. And if you answer all the questions, then you know a lot. And you pass the exam. And they'll say, you're an educated person. You're a learned individual. The truth is there's no such thing as a learned individual. You're either learning or you're not. There's no such thing as an educated person. You're either learning or you're not. Education comes from the Latin educo, meaning to educe, to develop, or to draw within. It's not hammering information into our head, as school would suggest. Now think of this for a moment. We go to school, we gather information. If we can remember it, we get the degree. I'm going to come back to that. We call that learning. It's not. Okay, now look at this. Hearing and listening are two different things. You hear with your ears, you listen with your emotions. That's your emotional mind, your subconscious mind. And if you listen, odds are pretty good you may learn something. Now, learning is when you consciously entertain an idea, you get emotionally involved in that idea, you step out and act on that idea, and you change the end result. You're doing something different. You get a different result. Learning is the feedback that comes from the change in results. I love the way Vernon Howard put it. He said, knowledge is the observation of a fact. Knowing is the inward experience of that fact. Quite a difference, isn't it? Let's look at this same thing from a different perspective. We'll build a different model. School gave us valuable knowledge. However, school never taught us how to alter our old paradigms. Therefore, we frequently do not do what we already know how to do. Now, I'm going to come back and touch on that. But think of this for a moment. A person has superior knowledge. They get inferior results. That causes tremendous confusion. Let's build a graphic here. Look, there's the person. The conscious mind is loaded with all kinds of knowledge. History, English, mathematics, geometry, economy, education, physics. See? But the results don't match all this knowledge they've got. They have degrees coming right out the end of the business card. But the results don't show it. Why? Because that knowledge is not controlling the behavior. It's the paradigm that's controlling the behavior and causing the results. Interesting, isn't it? Now, if you want to change your results, you've got to change your paradigm. And if you don't change your paradigm, it doesn't happen. Now, the coaching program that we run, it's 13 months. It's designed to change paradigms. We work together for 13 months. Now, I want you to think for a moment. I've been studying this for over 50 years. It's helped me earn millions of dollars. I'll be 78 in a matter of weeks, and I got more energy than most people. 28. I travel and fly all over the world every month, literally all over the world. How come? Well, I control my paradigm, you see. Now look at this for a moment. You and I think in pictures. We think in pictures. Now I'm going to ask you a question. What's a boat look like? There's a little boat. Think of a feather. You see how you don't think F-E-A-T-H-E-R. Now let me ask you a question. What does your mind look like? That's an interesting question, isn't it? What does your mind look like? See, most people can't answer that question. Now, we gave you a little model a few minutes ago, so I think I'll go back to that little model because it's worked very well for me for a long, long time. So we'll say, there's the mind. And we'll go back, there's the conscious mind, there's the subconscious mind, and there's the body. Now, I could take you into the chief executive officer of some of the largest companies in the world, literally the largest companies in the world. They will tell you that that model that you see in front of you is one of the most important ideas they have ever learned. John Mike said it was without question the most important idea he's ever learned. Now, let's gather some information around this, and then I'm going to come at it from a couple of different points of view and see if we use this information. This is our thinking mind. We have the ability to think. An energy, a power is flowing into our consciousness as I speak. That's our thinking mind. And you know that all the great leaders have taught us one thing. They've agreed on one point. You and I become what we think about. This is our educated mind. I already showed you. That's where we store all those books. This is where our intellect is resident. Now remember I said this was the emotional mind, the subconscious? They operate totally different. If there's some psych majors listening in, you know the conscious mind is inductive and deductive. The subconscious just reasons deductively. It has no ability to originate. Now the conscious mind has. You can choose. You can choose whatever you want. Think of this for a moment. Do you know that you and I are the only creature on the planet that is totally disoriented in our environment? All the rest of the little creatures on the planet are completely at home in their environment. They operate by instinct. Why are we disoriented? Because we have the ability to create our own environment. They blend in. We don't. We create our own environment. We have the ability to accept or reject anything that comes to us. And what do? We sit in front of a vacuum tube creating a head to match for hours. Do you know that the average person between the age of 2 and 65 will spend 9 years in front of a television set? You say, oh, I don't believe that. Well, figure it out. That's what they do. Now, we have the ability to reject everything we see. I'm not an indictment against television sets. I got a couple of them in the house. But I got a couple of cars in the garage, too, and I don't go out and drive around the block for a few hours when I come home. Think, why do we do these things? It's habit. You have the ability to originate. You can originate ideas. Now look at this for a moment. You have the ability to accept or reject. You can choose. You can think. You can originate. Your subconscious mind is not able to do that. It must accept whatever you give to it. It cannot reject. And get this. This is very important because I'm going to come back to this. Your subconscious mind cannot differentiate between that which is real and that which is imagined. It will accept whatever you give to it. And I'm going to tell you something else. It operates by law. By law. There's an exact way that parts of our mind operates. Now, we got all that information. Let's take a look at it now from a different point of view. Here we are here. We're getting inundated with information today from our radio, our newspaper, our television, our friends, other people. It's coming flying into our mind. Now we have a reasoning factor. That's what gives us the ability to be the inductive reasoning factor, the thinker. And because we have a reasoning factor, we can think. Now, rather than tell all that negative information that we're getting bombarded with to go away, we don't do that. What do? Well, we just sit there. We set our thinking mind aside and let it go right into our subconscious mind. Why? Because that's part of the paradigm. What did we say the paradigm was? A multitude of habits. Why would a person do that? Why would they sit and leave their mind wide open, their subconscious mind, that'll accept anything that comes down the road? Well, most people don't really know. Let's close the curtain on that for a second and investigate. Here you are here as an infant. No conscious mind. It hadn't developed. No. As an infant, your mind is wide open, and whatever's going on around you will come right into your mind. If you are a white Anglo-Saxon child born in Long Island, New York, and you were taken out of your home, and you were placed in a home in the suburbs of Beijing, you would grow up fluent in Chinese and no knowledge of the English language. If you were raised in a home that was multilingual, there's 4 languages spoken, you would learn all 4 languages before you were 4 or 5 years old, and there would be no problem. Why? Just whatever comes down the road comes right into our mind. And what goes into the mind over and over again becomes fixed in there. They're habits. Well, you see, this information that's going on around us floods right into our subconscious mind. Now, I was born during a depression, so there was a lot of, moaning and groaning going on, a lot of lack and limitation. So why would a person develop a self-image like that? Because that's the environment they're growing up in. And self-image is just one idea. You go along like that for months and a few years, and you become programmed. That's why you like the food you like. That's why you dress the way you dress, walk the way you walk, talk the way you talk. Is it any wonder that here we are years later doing the same thing? We were programmed to do that. We speak the same language. We don't change our language. We can, and some people do, but that's rare. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? Look here for a moment. You were raised to live through your senses. Now, this is going to present a real big problem as we go down the road. There's your sensory factors, but your conscious mind is also your intellectual mind, and we have all these higher faculties. Now, as we go through the 13-month program, we dig into this and we study this in some serious depth, and good things start to happen. And you see, we've got all these intellectual factors, and when we start to understand how to use them, it's our intellect that enables us to get rid of that paradigm you just held to leave town. See, we begin thinking into results. We don't leave the paradigm there. We begin using our higher faculties to get the paradigm out and change the paradigm. It's pretty interesting. In fact, it's very interesting. But very few people do that. What did I say? 3 or 4 people out of 100. Do you know that most people are extras in their own movie? We have the ability to design our own life. And most people are extras in their own movie. They look at somebody else and they envy them. I want to ask you, what do you really want? Because I can guarantee you, if you can tell me what you want, I can show you how to get it. You say, well, that's a pretty exaggerated statement. No, it's not. See, I listened to a recording many years ago by Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret. You're probably familiar with it. And on that record, he said, if you can tell me what you want, I can show you how to get it. And I remember thinking, if this guy knows what he's talking about, I've really got a hold of something. And he did. I earned well over $1 million before I met him. But I went to work with him. And I spent 5 years working with he and Lloyd Conant. I took a cut from earning a few $100,000 a year. I took a job for $18,000. I was prepared to pay them to let me work there. I wanted to work with them. 5 years later, I was earning $33,000. But I got an education that you can't buy. And here's something I learned. I learned something Buckminster Fuller was talking about. He said, you never change things by fighting existing reality. To change something, you build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. And that's what I want to suggest you do. I want to suggest you begin thinking right now of building a new model. I want you to think of the model you've been working with. Are you making leaps and bounds? Are you moving ahead at a record pace? Most people are not, but they could. All they have to do is make a decision. That's it. Now, Napoleon Hill has been my mentor since 1961. Let's look at something he said. Napoleon Hill discovered and wrote about it in Chapter 8 on Decision in Think and Grow Rich. Keep in mind, he had researched the lives of over 500 highly accomplished individuals. He talked about speed. Analysis of several hundred people who had accumulated fortunes well beyond the $1 million mark disclosed the fact that every one of them, no exception, every one of them had the habit of reaching decisions promptly and changing those decisions slowly if and when they were changed. And he pointed out that people who fail to accumulate money, without exception, have the habit of reaching decisions slowly, if at all, very slowly, and of changing their decisions quickly and often. Well, I have found that school never taught us how to make decisions. They really didn't teach us much about decisions. Earl Nightingale taught me something about decisions, and I've shared it with millions of people since. It's a powerful idea. I make decisions very, very quickly. I don't go and ask a whole bunch of people and take a vote. I make a decision. I gather as much information, I'll make the decision. But I make them fast. Why? Because that's what I learned from this book. Now look here for a moment. Let those lines represent levels of vibration. The whole universe moves. We live in an ocean of motion. Each level of vibration is referred to as a frequency. Now you might wonder, what has this got to do with goal achieving? It's got everything to do with it. Everything. We think on frequencies. Let these puffy little clouds represent your thoughts, and your thoughts are producing your results. Now look at this. We'll say, this is where I am, but this is where I want to go, and I'm going to go there as soon as, and then we point to something here, as soon as I get the money, as soon as things work out better. I'll go there when this changes. That isn't going to change as long as you're thinking on that frequency. You're going to keep attracting the same thing. Frequency, think about it for a minute. Level of vibration. Your thinking controls your vibration. Your vibration controls what you attract. The Secret spent a lot of time talking about the law of attraction. They didn't spend a lot of time talking about vibration. They didn't talk about it at all. And it's the vibration you're in that dictates what you attract. Attraction is a secondary law. It's not a primary law at all. When you say, that's what I'm going to do, and it's final, you flip your brain onto a different frequency, and you start to think the thoughts that you have to think to build the ideas you have to think to reach that goal. It's pretty interesting. Now, I want you to look at this for a moment. I'm going to run through the ABCs of setting goals. And let me mention, setting goals is an intellectual exercise. It's an intellectual exercise. Reaching a goal, achieving a goal is a lawful process. Most people set goals, A-type goals, to do what they already know how to do. They don't want to look bad. If they're in a sales organization, they're not going to stretch, because what if they miss? What would everybody think? So we set goals to do repeat performances. And you know that a high percentage of the population are repeating their performances. Same results over and over and over again. Now you may listen to a meeting like this or get into a book and you decide, I'm going to stretch. And you go up what you think you can do. So you sit down and you think, well, if she did this and if he did that and if this worked out, then I could do this. And we build a plan. You got to have a plan. This isn't the way to do it. What's the other way? Well, you got to get up there. What do you want to do? You don't. If we were living for thousands of years, we could screw around for the first 100 and mess it up. But we don't. Life is very short. We run out of time very quickly. It's important that we live the way we want to live. Do you know how most people are living? They're living the way they think other people think they should live. Not the way other people think they should live, the way they think other people think they should live. I heard Bill Gove one time. He said, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. Not the me I think you think I should be. Not the me I think my kids think I should. No, he said, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. That's the only way you can be free, living the way you want to live. Now, some people say, well, that's selfish. I like the way Oscar Wilde put it. He says, selfishness is not living as one wishes to live. Selfishness is asking others to live as one wishes to live. Did you ever take a look at a law firm, Proctor, 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 and Proctor? You think maybe one of them wanted to let their hair grow long and play a guitar or something? Well, the top one gets ruled out very quick because you have to fantasize. And it's okay when you're a little kid, but once you get in school, you can't fantasize. That's called not paying attention. So what do? Well, we go from here and we go up to here. But there's no inspiration in doing what you think you can do. There's certainly none in doing what you've already learned how to do. And there's no inspiration. You're not going to get any support from the others because, they're just... So we come back here. And then we go and we get all wound up at another meeting and we come up here. But then we give up. We come back here. Pretty soon we give up. We just say, oh, heck with it. Now, that's why Earl Nightingale said success for most people remains a puzzle. They can't figure out how to make it happen. If you're going to win and win in a big way, here's where you start. Fantasy, theory, fact is the creative process. It is a creative process. And if you're going to get what you want, you must fantasize. No two ways about it. You have to fantasize. Now, we're getting into something here that is very, very important. So I want you to really perk your ears up. If you're taking notes, jot them down. Watch this for a moment. We build a fantasy of what we want, and then we turn the fantasy into a theory. So where are we going? We're going from the fantasy. That's where you're using your imagination. Remember, that was one of the intellectual factors. And then we have to be using our reasoning factor. We've got to turn it into a theory. This is when we go from fantasy to theory. See, the imagination just goes out into the universe, taps into the energy, and brings into our consciousness what we want. But before you can turn the theory into a goal in your conscious mind, you have to pass a test. You have to ask, am I able? Well, where's our perception now? Am I able? Do you know there's only two sources of reference to go to find out who you are? One's science and the other's theology. Both of them clearly indicate you and I have infinite potential. We've got to learn how to channel it, how to use it. Then we have to ask, am I willing? And if the answer to that is yes, we're away to the races. We've got a goal. And then what do? Well, the books tell us, get emotional about it. Plant it in your subconscious mind. And if you do that, everything's going to happen, and you'll turn it into a fact, and then you can build bigger and better fantasies. Well, is that really going to happen? Well, a lot of people read about it, but it doesn't seem to work. Let's investigate it. See, if you're going to rule something out, rule that out. Get up here in the top. This is where you really want to start paying attention. You've got to see it. You've got to believe it. And then you have to do it. Look at this guy climbing a 100-foot wall of ice. I have difficulty walking on it when it's under my feet. But to climb a vertical wall, he said, all you have to do is know where you're going and know that you'll get there. And that's true if you understand the laws. When Wernher von Braun was asked by President Kennedy, what would it take to build a rocket that would carry a person to the moon and bring him back safely to Earth? Von Braun said, the will to do it. See, the will is another one of the intellectual factors. We build the idea with our imagination, we temper it with reason, and then we hold it with will. That's right. Now let's look at it again. Let's think. Von Braun said the laws of this universe are so precise that we don't have any difficulty building a spaceship sending people to the moon, and we can time the landing with the precision of a fraction of a second. Now you might be wondering, why is it I can't hit those big goals, earn the millions, get to the top of the organization? Why? I'm going to show you. This next slide could be one of the most important slides you'll ever look at. You say, well, we just looked at that. No, we didn't look at this one. We go from fantasy to theory. What we say, before you can turn it into a goal, you have to ask, am I able? Am I willing? And we do this. And we build it and turn it into a goal. And what do? We plant it in ourselves. Well, at least we think we do. And what happens? Well, if we do that, you see what happens. The subconscious is the universal mind. It's not only within us, it's omnipresent. That's right. This is the creative process. You are working with a universe that's friendly. It will serve you if you understand and work in harmony with the law. You're not just working with something that's just within you. There's a part of you that's a part of everything. This whole universe is connected. We're one with the universe. And look what happens here. See, if we were doing this right, that's exactly what would happen. But you see, there's a problem here. We don't really understand this. And so what happens? It all falls apart. It falls apart. We built a fantasy. We thought we built the goal. How come we're not reaching it? Why is it that it doesn't work out? Why am I getting stuck? It's because you don't understand the laws. You see? The individual lacks a conscious understanding of the laws and how to work with the laws for achieving results. And don't feel bad if you fall into this category. 90-some% of the population do. What you really want to be is super happy that you're on this call. Now look here for a minute. I'm going to take you back to the time I was 26. I had a man sit down with me. I knew nothing about any of this. I had a man sit down with me. He put an R down. He said, Bob, the R represents results. That represents happiness, health, and wealth, the 2 H's and a W. And he asked me if I thought he was a happy person. I said, yeah, he seemed pretty happy to me. He said, have you ever seen me sick? And I said, no. He said, have you ever seen me when I was broke? The guy always had money. Well, he said, Bob, you've got to be one of the unhappiest people I know. And I was a very unhappy guy. I only had a couple of months high school. I had no business experience. I had had dumb jobs. I'd gone in and out of the Navy. I'd worked in factories and bars. And you see, I was not a happy person. I had nothing to offer anyone. I had no skills. I had learned nothing. I was earning $4,000 a year, and I owed $6,000. And that's when he introduced me to this book. And he taught me something that most people never learn. And he got me to make commitment. He taught me something about discipline. He taught me something about learning. And he taught me something about not thinking in reverse anymore. He said, forget the fact you've only got 2 months high school. Forget the fact that you have no business experience. Think of what you've got going for you. He said, you realize that the blood in your body circulates through hundreds of miles of passageway. Every 33 seconds, it carries all the food in, all the garbage out in one sweeping change. That's in your body. He said, do you know that the electrical system in your body would make the electrical system in the big supercomputers up at IBM look like a toy? Have you any idea the number of electrical messages are charging through your body for the simple function of signing your name? And he got me to make a commitment. He said, if you do exactly what I tell you and do exactly what you think this book is teaching you, your whole life will change. I don't know why. I was 26. I had never taken good advice before. But 1 year later, I was earning $175,000 a year. Now somebody said, what were you doing? I was cleaning floors. In less than 5 years, I had it over $1 million. I was cleaning floors in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, and London, England. You talk about letting your mind soar, about fantasizing and executing. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. If you had asked me, I couldn't tell you. I was what you call an unconscious competent. What did I just say? Most people are not consciously aware. They lack the understanding of the laws and how to work with them. I didn't understand, but I was winning. Now, I was an oddball, but you want to know something? Almost without exception, every big producer in every company is at a loss to explain exactly why they're big producers. They really don't know. And the company doesn't know, because if the company knew, they would can it and give it to all the employees. I have worked for the largest insurance companies in the world, in North America and in Asia. And they do not know why their top people are top people. I went into the Prudential of America, raised the sales by hundreds of millions of dollars. I was hired over 100 companies to go into Malaysia Airlines. I worked with everybody from baggage handlers to the captains. You see, I wasn't satisfied with the fact that I was earning a lot of money and I was winning. I wanted to know why. I'd been raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. I knew that I wasn't very smart. I was earning a lot of money. I was raised to believe if you're going to build a successful company, you've got to have a good formal education. I didn't have any. So I thought this can't be true. And so I wanted to find out, why did my life change? I knew all kinds of people that had read Think and Grow Rich. Their life hadn't changed. I knew other people that were in the cleaning business. Their life didn't change. It took me 9 years with some of the most brilliant people in the world that I studied with. Spent an absolute fortune. I would go anywhere to learn. Now here's something I found out. Look at this. There's the mind, the conscious mind, and that is the intellectual mind. And it's the intellectual mind that decides what we want. That's the goal setter, you see. That's the goal setter. It's an intellectual exercise. Anybody can do that. You don't need a great understanding to sit down and go through that intellectual exercise and decide what you want. Now there's the subconscious, and the subconscious is where the paradigm is. Now the paradigm is expressed through the body. Here's what we've got to learn. The law of attraction is real, but it responds to the paradigm. And what we do in Bob Proctor coaching is we will turn the image of what you want into your new paradigm. Now, we show you how to do that. And when you learn how to do that, here's what happens. Watch this. You create the image of the good that you desire. We will show you how to work with the universal side of your personality. That is the all-powerful part. That's the part of you that's a part of everything. And if you have to attract someone from the other side of the world to help you, I guarantee you will. Now I understand what Earl Nightingale was said. As you start to move towards the goal starts to move towards you. Why? See, because of the vibration that you're in. It's the image that's planted that controls the vibration. Now think about this for a moment. When you impress an image upon the subconscious mind, that image dictates your vibration. Then whatever's in harmony with your vibration is attracted into your life. Now, you see, the problem is the paradigm tries to stop us. That's why we spend 13 months with the person, showing them how to take control of that. Now, what are you attracting into your life? You say, well, I'm not sure. Well, I can tell you how to be sure. Take a look at your results. That'll answer the question for you. Now look at this. What do you want to attract into your life? There's the operative word again, want. Do you know wants come from the essence of who you are? Your spiritual DNA is perfect. There's perfection within you, and it's that spiritual perfection that's seeking expression through you. It's your uniqueness as a human being that wants to be expressed. Watch. This 13-month coaching program deals with wants. That's right. We change paradigms. It's a beautiful concept. Watch your world change. Chris Guerrero, a very successful businessman, sent me a letter a couple of years ago. And he said, Bob, I had to put together 2 or 3 credit cards to join your coaching program. But he said, I went through it 3 times, 3 years in a row. He said, I want you to know I just had my first $1 million month. Chris Guerrero. Imagine the awareness studying weekly with us for 13 months. We have one of the most phenomenal staff that you're going to find anywhere. They are incredible, absolutely incredible. You should have them go to work for you. Look what Joel Barker said, who wrote the book on paradigms. He said, to be able to shape your future, you must be willing and able to change your paradigm. Now, I'm going to give you a quick look at what we do, and then I'm going to move on. An effective mentor has the ability to transfer awareness, experience, knowledge, and confidence from their mind to the other person's mind. I'm an effective mentor. I'm a very effective mentor. Not by accident, by years and years of study, by years and years of being mentored by some of the wisest people in the world. Now, a complete year of coaching, 13 months. It's a comprehensive, multifaceted coaching program, personalized success strategies, coaching webinars with myself, the full library of our material, advanced mastermind think tanks, weekly accountability coaching and exercises, massive online support. Now, that's just some of what's coming your way. This wisdom will be worth millions in your life. It certainly has in mine. I'm going to give you a quick coaching lesson here from this book. It was one of the first ones that Ray gave me. He said, you see that paragraph? And it's highlighted now. Well, you could read it. There's a difference between wishing. Well, let's blow it up for you. He said there's a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. No one is ready for a thing until they believe that they can acquire it. The state of mind must be belief and not mere hope or wish. I said open mind is essential to belief. Closed minds will not inspire faith, courage, or belief. See, the key is quit hoping, quit wishing. Make a commitment to yourself that it's going to change. You're going to learn how to believe in you. Do you know in all the good books in the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Book of Mormon, all of them, you know, they all tell you got to believe. And you're not ready until you do. And so I started to wonder, where do my beliefs come from? And since that's what I was looking for, that's what I found. Your belief system is based upon your evaluation of something. And frequently when you reevaluate a situation, your belief about that situation will change. Well, do you know what the 13 months is about? It's about you. We're teaching you so much about yourself. When we finish reevaluating yourself for 13 months with us, you're going to walk away and you're going to be a different person. And you're going to understand what Hill said here. He said, remember, no more effort is required in order to aim high in life, demand abundance, prosperity, than to accept misery and poverty. I remember when I first read that, I got so excited. I thought, I'm ready. But I wasn't. I had to study me. Then I come across another paragraph that sort of disturbed me. It says you require specialized knowledge. And he said, before you can be sure of your ability to transmute your desire into monetary equivalent, you're going to require specialized knowledge. But Ray, my mentor, he said, don't worry about that. Look here. He said, the accumulation of great fortunes calls for power. And power is acquired through highly organized and intelligently directed specialized knowledge. But that knowledge does not necessarily have to be in the possession of the person who accumulates the fortune. Think of this. Highly organized, intelligently directed, specialized knowledge. We have been putting it together for 50 years. You can obtain the specialized knowledge you require in our coaching program, saving yourself years of time-consuming study and hardship. I believe I can show anyone how to become a multimillionaire. But you know something? I can't make the decision for them. You're the only one that can make the decision for you. And when you do make a decision about your future, you're either going to go to the right or you're going to go back to where you came from. And you know what makes the difference? Right here. This is one of the first lessons I learned. You got to discipline yourself. Discipline is the ability to give yourself a command and then follow it. Wants and discipline need to be connected. That's what this 13 months is about. Don't ask anyone what they think you should do when you're going to make a decision. Go to that quiet voice within. Go to your sanctum sanctorum. Go to your closet, close the door. Follow the feeling within. Let your intuitive factor lead you. And I'll tell you one thing you will have when you finish our program. You'll have an understanding of how to achieve a goal because you're going to learn all about the universal side of you and the laws that govern goal achieving. And you will fall into that 2, 3, 4% category of people that have, do, and be what they want. And here's the biggest win. You will develop and maintain a sense of urgency. Say, what is a sense of urgency? It's getting a lot done in a short period of time in a calm, confident manner. It looks like you're hardly working. And yet you do more than a whole team of people put together. Now, if you want to find out more, there's the address. I've taught you what goal achieving needs. I can't teach you how to do it in an evening. But in our coaching program, I can. You can find out everything you want to know. You can get your answers. Little people little. You just call them. We'll give you a number. You call them. And we'll give you the answers to the question. What do you think would happen if I worked with you for 13 months, teaching you this, taking you through exercises, your life would change like night and day. I want to congratulate all of our people that have come together and really worked at this. And I want to congratulate you for coming on the call. But I'm going to suggest that if you've got a feeling, to get in touch with us and find out what we can do. 13 months from now, you would need a telescope to look back where you are. We have doctors, lawyers, truck drivers, secretaries, business owners, presidents, everyone you can think of, and we have people from all over the world because people are essentially the same all over the world. And if you want to really tackle it and hit those targets that you just dream about, you're in the right place. Go right now to bobproctor.com/answer, and you'll be given a directive there in your phone, and we'll get back to you. I want to thank you. I want to thank Becca and Kathy and Mikey. They really put this together, and they've done a phenomenal job. They make my job easy, and I want to thank you for coming on the call. Go to your computer, bobproctor.com/answer. We'll get back to you. Good night, all.